Do you understand your cat's behavior? Welcome to the Cat Dad Show. My name is Scott Colby. I know I certainly don't understand my cat's behavior sometimes, but I've got a special guest. I'm going to share a clip of my interview with Molly DeVos. She's a renowned certified cat behavior specialist. And in this clip, I asked her, what is the most misunderstood thing about cat behavior that you wish every cat owner knew? Molly was one of my guests for the Feline Wellness Summit. This is a clip of that interview. If you want to listen to the entire interview, as well as my interview with 20 other feline wellness experts, just go to felinewellnesssummit.com and you can grab a free ticket. But for now, enjoy that clip with Molly.
Oh my gosh, that list is long for me.
I know.
So,
Share a few, share a few.
I think that the most misunderstood thing is that they don't perceive the world like we do.
Hmm.
For instance, they live through their world through their noses. To them, scent is everything. That's how they recognize the other cats in your home, much more so than vision. So we're very visually oriented. And, so we say like, "Oh, that's your cat buddy. How come you can't tell it's them?" But maybe that cat's scent has changed. Their scent is so acute that that's why we recommend using unscented litters, because if you put scented litters in there, it's like when you go to the restaurant and that person next to you's put a half a bottle of perfume on that you don't like,
Awful.
and it's so awful that it burns your nose and it's annoying. Well, that's how they feel about really scents that we might consider mild. And that's just one example. There's so many different ways. All of their scents, they see differently, they hear differently, they smell differently. So it's a totally different being. And I think sometimes we forget that and we don't understand, where they're coming from, basically.
Yeah. Even worse when you go into an elevator and somebody has too much perfume or cologne, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought up their sense of smell, um, because it you mentioned it's not really something we may think about. I certainly don't. I've been a cat parent for 21 years now, and I forget that. I don't really I think more of sight and hear what they hear more
Mhm.
so than smell, but you are right, it's so sensitive to them, so I'm really glad you brought that up, and I'm pleased to announce that I've, started to use unscented litter, and I didn't always use unscented litter because my initial belief was like, "Hey, I want my litter box to smell good, so
Right.
I'll have one that has, like, a scent to it," but as you mentioned, they could be very sensitive to that, so
Yeah, that's common. In fact, I've gone to a scent-free everything in the home, and I was that person that had that, the little plug-in scent
yes.
going on and lots of candles burning and things like that, and once I learned what that does to them, their bodies are so much smaller than ours. It's much more difficult for them to absorb toxins than ours. So while that stuff, we go, "Well, yeah, I'd have to live to be 200 for it to really affect me." Maybe not so much with them. So I don't use anything scented, air fresheners, things like that, unless it's natural, like, boiling cloves or something like that on the stove. And I've gone to just cleaning vinegars on the
Yes.
floor and, yeah, just keep it simple.
I love it because I'm learning this from some of our other guests, so I'm making all of these switches myself here, which is great. You talk about cat essential needs. What would you say are 3 of the top needs that if we met them could prevent a lot of these behavior issues?
Yeah, good question. One is control. That is probably the most important thing in a cat's world. A cat has to feel in control in its environment. Why? Because they really are wildcats. They still have a 98% DNA link to their wildcat ancestors. And what those wildcats need, they need. We just have them in captivity in our homes. And so I think we forget what they need. Well, out there in the wild, things are predictable. Things happen kind of at the same time. They know their territory really well. They know what's coming and going. So they need that sense of predictability in a home. That helps them to feel in control. When things get all crazy and willy-nilly and people start, yelling or doing things they don't normally do, that upsets the cat greatly. And, they don't show their emotions real well. So you may go, well, it doesn't look upset about it because it's not as obvious as when we get upset about something, it. That's not true with cats. And then the other thing is mental stimulation. And I'm going to wrap this all into one, both mental stimulation and problem solving, and the ability to complete the hunting sequence multiple times a day. Because out in the wild, they'll spend 6 hours a day hunting on and off. Their rhythm is hunt, eat, groom, sleep. When we keep them in captivity and we serve them meals on a silver platter, they no longer have the ability to hunt. And these guys are natural born hunters. That's their big job is they hunt. Now they are both predator and prey, but they are first and foremost hunters. So we absolutely have to simulate that hunting sequence for them at least twice a day. Now, the kid doesn't have to be marathon sessions. They can just be little 10-minute sessions twice a day. And by that, I mean one toy, make it look like prey, make it go out of sight so the cat is intrigued and flop up in the air like a bird. And when they catch it, and it is very important to let them catch it,
Mm.
tug it a little bit like it's injured prey. Because when they catch it, a lot of guys like to play keep away when it comes to lawn toy play time.
I'm
And
guilty, I'm guilty.
right? I don't know why it's a guy thing. It's like a competition and you didn't get it. And and what happens though when they deliver that kill bite is it releases serotonin in their brain. And so that makes them a happier, healthier cat. So they really absolutely have to do it. It's not enough just to put toys down and expect them to do that on their own. They need you to help them with that. So that's a absolute thing they need their whole lives, no matter how old they get. Sometimes it gets harder to do it. And I've had so many people tell me, well, my cat just won't play with those things. I'm like, well, then you are doing it wrong.
Mm.
And
Yeah, right.
learn how to do it right.
Yeah.
Think like a prey, move like a prey. And then, they need the ability to solve problems because when they're out there living their natural lives, there's all kinds of things they got to figure out. Like, how am I gonna sneak up on that bird without getting caught? And how am I gonna avoid that dog over there? So they've got to solve problems. Well, when we, treat them like the kings and queens they are, they don't have much of an ability to solve problems. And so some of the things you can do to do that is, clicker training. They figure it out really quickly and they think they're training you, which is important because that helps them with having that sense of control, right? So clicker training, hiding treats, to stimulate foraging and finding things and problem solving with new treat dispensers and things like that. Those are very, very important things for cats.